Okay, I thought it would be a good time to do a little bit of a check-in. When I used to make content for this channel, my goal was to always have it up on a Monday or a Friday. And it is Monday, but you probably won't see this until Tuesday. I cannot believe that I have read 15 books so far this month. That may be a lot, that may be a little, but for me, being in a fibromyalgia flare currently, dealing with the loss of a cat, just a lot going on, I was able to get these 15 books read. And in this check-in, I'd love to tell you something else too. If I went over to my NetGalley page, I believe I got 23 reviews up this month, 23, maybe even 24. I'm going to check. All I have to do is go to my shelf, which I'm not signed in. I just wish I had to clear my cookies or my cache, and so now I'm struggling to get in on any website that I need to use. All right, let me in. Thank you very much. So if I look at my shelf and I look at feedback sent, any shelf that you have has 20 items on it. So I can glance at it and see that I at least got 20, and I go to page 2 and I have 3. So yes, 23 reviews up on NetGalley. On my blog, not necessarily, because I do advanced reviews and then I schedule them for the date of the release of the book. But for NetGalley November, the goal of reading and reviewing mainly NetGalley titles, that's the whole theme of NetGalley November. I'm glad to say that I have gotten 15 books done so far. So the first book, we'll just talk about them very briefly. A Daughter's Choice by Kelly Irvin. Here we have a young woman who wants what any young Amish woman her age, one that has decided to stay with the faith after the Rumspringa time that they have, wants to marry and have children. But she also loves animals, especially her goats. I love that. Then we have I Took Her First by Samantha Hayes. This is where a teacher named Hannah took a little girl named Mila home from school. She didn't have any authority to take Mila home, but she took Mila home. Sits Mila down at the table with cookies and milk, runs upstairs for a minute, comes back downstairs, back door's wide open, and Mila is gone. So now she's in a state of panic, and obviously she calls the police and she says, this little girl has been taken, but she's been taken twice because I took her first. Love it. Then we have The Girl in the Window by A.J. McDine. The Girl in the Window is a book about a doppelganger. A woman meets a woman. I think one of the ladies' names was Laura. She meets this woman and she's like, oh my goodness, you look exactly like me. But their lifestyles are completely different. One is struggling to get by and, just making ends meet. The other one seems to have everything, the perfect home, the perfect husband, the perfect life. But when you look deeper inside, nothing is as it seems. So the fact that they were doppelgangers plays into the changes and the differences in their lives. Then we have Susan Mallery's Otherwise Engaged. I think this was on the sweet side, at least for me. I say on the sweet side, I mean heartwarming and a really good read. And in this book, we have Shannon. She gets engaged, but she keeps it a secret from her mother, Cindy. She's got a great relationship with her mother, but she wants her mother to have her day in the limelight versus her mother discovering that she's engaged now and decide that they're going to have a double wedding because their birthdays were only 2 days apart from one another. So what they did is they celebrated birthdays together. They wore the same outfits. If they went out to breakfast, they dressed alike. Well, Shannon decides, no, this is going to be me. It's time for me to have my life. Then the next one I read was Lily Graham's The Forgotten Hours. So here we have Frankie. She's flying a plane. It's World War II. It's a special mission she's on as part of the resistance. Her plane goes down. It explodes. But she gets out, barely gets out. Well, the little boy had broken curfew that night, and he sees this whole thing going down. And curfew was critical because you had to do things like you had to have your shades drawn, you had to be, the streets had to be empty because this is World War II. Well, he gets her out of the plane, or as he's thinking, he's getting the pilot out of the plane, gets the pilot to get, limp and whatever, get to his home where his grandfather is. He's being raised by his grandfather. And as the grandfather begins to examine, because the grandfather's a vet, so hopefully his veterinarian skills will help him to work on the injuries that this pilot has sustained. Well, as it turns out, the pilot is indeed a woman. And due to her being a woman, there is how the story goes backwards. Left one thing out. She has amnesia. She doesn't know who she is, where she is, or why she was in that airplane. And then the story segues back to her childhood and the things that she experienced and how she ended up becoming a pilot. And then, of course, her memory eventually has to come back, and then there's danger because, again, it's the war. Then we have The Perfect Host by Heather Gudenkauf. And here we have a lavish gender reveal party about to take place. Beautiful party. 200 guests. You got waiters, you got servers, you have bartenders, you have music, you have everything. And what you're going to have beyond belief is a great big boom that will give you a cloud of pink or a cloud of blue. Well, there's a great big boom, all right, but it didn't go as planned, and one person was dead. So the question is, how did that planned event for that gender reveal go so wrong that somebody ended up dead? That is The Perfect Host. Then I read Dick Van Dyke's 100 Rules for Living to 100. This was a memoir by Dick Van Dyke, but it was done in such a cute way of a chapter title and then his perspective on it. A chapter title, his perspective. A chapter title, his perspective. It was narrated by Tom Bergeron, and I'm telling you, if you get yourself deeply entranced with this book, you feeling like you're hearing Dick Van Dyke's younger voice. Very, very good book. Then I read Innocence Road by Laura Griffin. So in this story, we have a small town in Texas. The name of the town is called Madrone. We have Leanne Everhart, and she's trying to handle a case. She's trying to solve a case. But the case that she's working on is something that whoever was responsible for it would have rather had left buried. Meanwhile, there's a man that gets out of prison after, I think, 15 years because he was wrongfully convicted. So Leanne is trying to figure out who killed the person that the man was wrongly convicted for, why the town doesn't want the real truth, and just a really, really good book. And then we have Prowl by Colleen Coble. This is the second book in her Sanctuary series. And in this particular book, it starts off with a young woman who is found dead in a tiger enclosure. At first, it looks as if it's a tiger attack that cost the woman her life, but it soon is learned by autopsy that she was killed with something that was in a tranquilizer gun. So the question is, who is responsible for that young woman's death? Now we have Blake. His name is Blake Lawson. He and his mother are running the sanctuary, and it's a sanctuary for all kinds of animals, especially wild animals that need a refuge, like giraffes, tigers, whatever. They have this huge sanctuary. They're pretty broke, trying to pay bills, trying to feed and take care of the animals, trying to pay their employees, but somebody or a group of somebodies is trying to buy their property, just to take it all away. And then you have Paradise, and her name is Paradise, and she is back at the town where Sanctuary is located, and she and Blake renew their former relationship. They used to date. They used to be fond of each other. Well, now it's more serious, and hopefully it'll be happily ever after for them. Then we have the Twas the Bite Before Christmas, and this is by David Rosenfelt. This is book number 28 in his Andy Carpenter series. I have read all 32 of the books, except for some reason I didn't get this book read. It came out in 2023, so I had to get it read and reviewed, and I'm glad I did. In this particular case, it's almost Christmas. Andy Carpenter just doesn't plan on doing anything but sitting back, putting his feet up, and watching some college football. That's all he plans on doing. But his wife is like, Lori, we have to go to this event it's for the Terra Foundation. The Terra Foundation is where they take in, care for, and people adopt dogs from this foundation. Well, he has to go because he's the head of the foundation, right? So they go, and the police all of a sudden show up, and they want to take out, one of the men, put someone in handcuffs and take him out. And Andy's like, what's going on? And the guy goes, oh, well, we're looking for Robert. And Andy goes, oh, no, that's not Robert. The guy goes, yeah, my real name is Robert. Well, now Andy has chosen to, or has been in the position to defend this person that the police arrested at that event. Then I had What She Saw, and this is an audiobook that I had for review by Mary Burton. And here it's about a cold case reporter. Her name is Sloan Grayson, and she's working on a case that took place, I think it was 30 years ago, where 4 women at a music festival just disappeared into thin air. As it turns out, one of those women was Sloan's mother, and Sloan at the time was only, I believe, barely 2 weeks old. So her mother was among the 4 women that went missing during that festival. Well, now, as a cold case investigator, she returns to her hometown because she's like, I want to solve this case. I want to know once and for all what happened to my mother, and I want closure. So that was What She Saw. And then I read the cute, sweet The View from Coral Cove by Amy Clipston. I read this because I have The Lighthouse at the Cove for review. So, me and the way that I do things, I like to read everything in order. So in this particular book, I just fell in love with the story. We have a woman, and her name is Maya, and she was engaged. She had a family, but first her mother passes away. She never knew her father, and then her beloved aunt passes away. Then her fiance decides, oh, I got a job in the UK. You're not coming with me. It's over, type of thing. And so because of her aunt passing away, her aunt left her store, her home, and some money. So Maya returns to her hometown to start over. And as she's there to start over, she does find love. And I think it was just the sweetest story. And I cannot wait to read the next book in the series. Oh my goodness. Then my next one was Uninvited by Emily Shiner. This was one of those psychological thrillers where that whatever the group of people that's going to be involved in the story, somebody or somebody's plural is going to end up dead. That's the central theme of something like this. And basically it started off as a holiday, and a couple's on holiday. But once somebody else comes up, and she's the man's mistress, his name is Dale, his mistress shows up. Well, now you have a rapid fire series of events where revenge and jealousy are served to you on a plate. And now you've got to try to assimilate that. Then I had Still Waters, and this is by Patricia Johns. Last year I had Green Pastures, not last year, in March I think. I read Green Pastures, and in Green Pastures we do have a character, and her name was Tabitha Schrock. Well, in this particular book, Still Waters, we have Beth Peachy, but Tabitha is Beth's friend. So Tabitha's role continues into the second book. Well, here Beth is at the point where she's at the age where either she will leave Amish and go live among the English, or she will get baptized in the Amish faith and do all the things that she needs to do, like get married, have children, do that whole role. It's a life, and she has to make that decision. Well, she's on the fence about that. What does she want to do? Yes, so once she makes that decision, or while she's working on making that decision about what her future will bring, then her childhood friend Danny Lab comes into the picture, and Danny's got his own issues. So between what Danny's dealing with, what Beth is dealing with, and that recurring character, like I mentioned, Tabitha Schrock from book 1, very, very, very well connected, just very good book. Then I have Closer Than You Know by Debra Webb. It is the third, book 2 in the Boyette series, Boyette, Boyett. And I'm just looking down because I just want to get you the name of the first book. Deeper Than the Dead, that was the first one. Then I read Secret You Can't Keep, will be the third one. And then this one here is Closer Than You Know. So I wanted to get that second one read, Closer Than You Know, before I move on to Secrets You Can't Keep. So in this particular book, we have Vera. She is back in her hometown. She lost her job as, I think, a chief of police in some town due to some type of corruption that she wasn't involved with, but it ended up with her losing her job. And then now she is like a case analyst, a police analyst. And one of the people that she has to work with is her sister Eve, and they do not get along. They're like night and day. But now Vera is working on something that brings danger to her, and that's why you have the book Closer Than You Know. And Secrets You Can't Keep, I think I got that as an I got it as an ebook, but I had put in a request for an audiobook, and it doesn't come out for about 2 weeks, so I'm going to hold off and hope that it's Brilliance Publishing that I'm waiting for. I'm hoping that Brilliance will give me that book as a review copy. So I think that's everything. 15 books in 10 days. So I will try to come back with another check-in, maybe in a week or two. And other than that, you'll just be seeing me in my daily vlogs. Thanks for watching.